In this video, I'm going to show you how to wire a single pole switch. I'm going to show you what tools to use. I'm going to show you the correct wire to use. And after this video, I will show you how a single pole switch operates a light. Let's dive into it. Okay guys, we're gonna go over a few things here. I'm gonna lean over while I explain. We got some basic electrical hand tools. We got a flathead, Phillips, lineman's pliers, razor blade, strippers. You're gonna need some strippers here. Tape measure. I have a voltage tester. I have a drill bit. I have a drill gun. You're gonna need those to do a project like this, especially if you're working in a new construction where there's open walls and rough-in studs. But what we're really going to concentrate on today is wiring a single pole switch. This is what we are concentrating on today. So all these tools is for an application. But what I want to explain in this video is how to wire this switch. No matter what kind of application, maybe you just need to change a switch in a house. I'm going to explain it. Okay, so right here I have built a display wall where we can go over different electrical applications. Let me start by nailing up the box. First, switches, I've always put them at either 52 inches or 56 inches. Measure this. I'm gonna put it at 52 inches. All right, so once you do that mark, you're gonna need a hammer. There was one tool I forgot. Sometimes electricians will just use their Kleins or lineman pliers if they don't have a hammer. I know I have. These boxes are designed to fit in a wall, and they have these little tits. I call them tits. They're supposed to line up the box on the studs, and they will stick out that much off the stud, because when they put sheetrock, the box is going to be flush with the sheetrock. You don't want this sticking past the sheetrock, and you don't want it too deep in the sheetrock because your screws wouldn't even reach it. There's ways around it. Believe me, I've done it. But if you can get it right the first time, it's much better. So we're going to line these right to the top of my measurement. Alrighty, we got the single nail-on box up. The next thing is putting some wire in. Since we're working with a 15 amp switch, you want to use 14.2. 14.2 is rated for 15 amps. The switch is rated for 15 amps. There's no need to have a thicker wire, but you can use a thicker wire. But if the hardware is still rated for 15 amps, then you still need to put it on a 15 amp breaker, regardless how thick the wire is. But this is the correct wire for 15 amps. It's called 14.2. And This is Romex. Going to run the wire down through the hole because this would be your top plate. And then if you have Romex staples, that'll be fine. Just something that you can fasten. This is the correct way to do it. You want to be at least 6 inches from the box. All right. That was a little knockout behind there. All right, so this would be the power wire. But I always like continuous power to be in the bottom. So when I come to a switch box, I know that my home run, the circuit, or continuous power is at the bottom of the box. The top box is always, the top of the box would always be for a lighting circuit like this. This wire is going up to a light. This is going to be either connected to a receptacle or it could be the circuit where it's dropped into a bedroom. Staple this down. We're going to use a razor knife and cut the insulation. You stab it right in the center. Twist this up. All right, so I said power was down on the bottom of this box and a light tail is at the top. All right, to complete the circuit, the neutrals have to be twisted together on a switch. It's different than an outlet, where an outlet gets one side, the silver screw, the neutral, and the other side, the brass screw, the black hot. A switch is different. And I like to leave them a little long. These strippers have different gauges. If you look on the stripper, if it focuses, there's different wire gauges. You pick the gauge that you're working on and you put your wire in it, and it will cut the sheathing where you can pull the insulation off. So that's why this tool is so good. All right, so the neutrals have to be twisted together. And what I like to do is go ahead and start it with your hands. Even though they say that you can stick to wires in a wire nut and twist it, I don't trust that. I like to know. I like to know that it's nice and tight. Alrighty. Perfect. Just size them up a little bit. I'm finding the 14 gauge slot in these strippers here. Stripping it back. Making a hook. Before I do that, do the ground first. All right, so I have just created a hook on all three of these, and I've got the ground already hooked. And you can see in my box, I've got the neutrals twisted together and the grounds twisted together. That's pretty much it with a switch. Got power coming in, light tail leaving out. All right, on a single pole switch, there is an off and there is a on. You want to have the switch in the right direction. All right. Shape that wire. You always want to have the open end of your hook turning the same direction as the screw. And use a flathead instead of a Phillips. A flathead really gets a better grab on the screw. I find a Phillips. All right, that's good. So inside the switch, when you push it down, when you switch this single pole down, all it's really doing is breaking this switch leg. When you turn it on, it engages a contactor inside the switch and it completes the circuit, and that causes the light to come on. And you always want to leave a little space here, a little extra wire. You don't want to be working with some sharp cut wire. It sucks when you don't have the right amount of wire. All right. Okay, so here was a switch, single pole switch. This is just an example. Finished.